obviously stronger push now for a free and democratic Iran than there's been in a number of years. Tell me about this event on Saturday in D.C. and how important these sorts of gatherings are.
Well, yeah, Steve, as you mentioned, the Iranian people, led by their organized opposition movement, the National Council of Resistance of Iran, have been pushing for a strong, sober American policy that recognizes that regime change is the end game. But this event that you mentioned on Saturday in Washington, D.C. was really an electric expose of a diverse array of people, many people from the Iranian diaspora. You had women, young scholars, young professionals coming together, outlining their vision for what Iran can be. And they were also joined by incredible dignitaries from the United States and even from England. You had folks like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo echoing why this is in America's interests and how America can help support a more free and prosperous Middle East through supporting regime change in Iran, a policy that, in his words, does not require boots on the ground from the United States, does not require American taxpayer money, but rather requires a strong policy of maximum pressure on the regime in Tehran, coupled with moral support and really moral clarity about what the alternative can bring. That same message was also echoed by others like Ambassador Carlos Sands, who is Ambassador to Denmark under the first Trump administration, as well as others like Congressman Patrick Kennedy and Speaker John Bercow of the UK House of Commons. So really it was a demonstration of support and clarity that was much needed, both in terms of a message of hope and optimism, but also a message to lawmakers in Washington, D.C. that this is the direction that both the Iranian people and the American people can stand together and fight for a cause that's both good for Iranian interests, but also great for American interests in terms of national security.
Sure. Now, the NCRI, Sina, has been seen by some as, in effect, the Iranian government in exile, working since 1979 to try to return that country to free elections, for example, and freedom for the people there. And we've discussed this many times on the program. It seems that Iran is closer today because the regime seems weaker today, at least from the outside looking in from where I sit. The regime looks weaker today than it has in years. So what are the opportunities? Is there a chance, Sina, that we could finally see the Iranian people rise up and be free again?
I think there absolutely is. For one, for the last several decades, the Iranian regime has really focused on a two-pronged strategy of repression at home, coupled with terrorism abroad through their proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, even their support for regimes like the Assad regime, and of course we know their nuclear ambitions that they've been working towards. And if you look at the landscape the last 2 years, this facade has completely collapsed, especially in the aftermath of the October 7th attack that they sponsored through their backing of Hamas. You look in the Middle East now, the Assad regime that the Iranian regime has been backing for the past decade is gone. Hezbollah is a skeleton of what it once was. Hamas, likewise, a skeleton of what it was once. And their nuclear ambitions also have been severely handicapped by the strikes by Israel and the United States over the summer that completely, I think, infiltrated the highest levels of their nuclear security, as well as their armed forces, their intelligence agencies, really crippling them from within. And you see that also reflected through instability in the government inside of Iran, but also the fact that the people are no longer afraid to rise up. You've seen successive uprisings that I think you alluded to from 2017, 2022, and even now you see small skirmishes happening inside of Iran, and it shows that the people are no longer afraid. They see the regime for the paper tiger that it really is, and they're willing to rise up. And I think an element that makes Iran distinctive from other countries where we've seen similar instability, similar calls for uprisings is what you mentioned at the very beginning, in that they have an organized opposition movement in the form of, like you said, a parliament in exile. The National Council of Resistance of Iran and its president-elect, Mariam Rajavi, have put forward a cohesive plan called the 10-point plan that has elements that really reflect the same values that we have in our own Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights. Things like separation of powers, separation of church and state, support for a free market economy, dismantling of the nuclear program, and support for international institutions. And they have a way to actually facilitate this through this government in exile that I think gives hope that you're not going to have a power vacuum. You actually have a movement that's ready to facilitate progress and change.